The Amazon of the 1970s was a world apart. Between rivers cutting through the darkness of the jungle and villages isolated by the forest's veil, Colares, a small fishing village in Pará, lived in harmony with the slow rhythm of the tides. Until October 1977, when the sky decided to rebel. The first reports emerged as whispers. Reddish lights, the size of fallen stars, hovering over the streams. Those who dared observe them up close described beams of light that burned the skin, leaving deep circular marks, as if the air itself were poison. It was as if the sky was hunting us, recounted a fisherman, refusing to give his name. Nights once filled with cricket songs became symphonies of screams. Men and women rushed home at sunset, locking doors and windows. Children were kept inside nets, away from cracks. The forest, once a generous mother, became an accomplice to something invisible. And as the villagers wondered if they had awakened the wrath of a forgotten god, the Brazilian government prepared to act. The jungle held secrets, but none as terrifying as the one beginning to unravel. October 1977 marked the start of what locals would call the year the sky descended to punish us. The lights, initially sporadic, multiplied. They came at dusk, floating over the streams like demonic fireflies. Gradually, the attacks grew methodical. Victims reported a piercing hum followed by a light beam that pursued them even indoors. Maria do Socorro, then 24, was among the first to bear the marks. "The light came through the thatched roof and hit me here," she said, pointing to a circular scar on her shoulder. "It felt like a hot needle piercing my flesh." Symptoms varied: geometric burns, small holes that bled for hours, and, in extreme cases, temporary paralysis. Dr. Weleed Sesim, sent from Belém, documented over 40 cases. Her journal, stained by Amazonian humidity, recorded unsettling clinical notes. Wounds with no infection but rapid necrosis. Patients report recurring dreams of men of light. With limited resources, she improvised bandages using local herbs, while the panicked population burned rosemary branches to ward off sky spirits. As local media sensationalized the attacks, the federal government imposed secrecy. Newspapers were censored, and phone calls from Colares were monitored. But in the jungle, where radios were the only link to the world, rumors spread faster than speedboats. "This is a silent war," murmured the river folk, "and we are the lab rats." In December 1977, the jungle witnessed the arrival of men unafraid of the dark. They were Brazilian Air Force FAB soldiers led by Captain Uirangue Holanda, a career officer whose piercing gaze hid both skepticism and curiosity. Their mission, dubbed Operation Saucer, was absent from official bulletins. To villagers, Holanda simply said, "We're here to hunt ghosts, if they exist." Armed with infrared cameras, night vision goggles, and sealed notebooks, the soldiers set up observation posts in strategic clearings. At first, they mocked the reports. "Killer lights? That's just scared hicks talk," they laughed among themselves, until their first night watch. Holanda later described the initial sighting in a classified interview. It was a silver disc hovering 30 meters high. 2 pulsating light beams shot from it, like tentacles probing the ground. The team's photographs, 500 black and white images now stored in the National Archives, showed elongated objects, some with glowing domes, others resembling cosmic cigars. As the military documented the inexplicable, life in Colares became a bureaucratic nightmare. Soldiers interrogated witnesses with technical questions. Did the light emit heat? Did you hear electronic noises? Women with scars were examined like lab specimens. Gradually, even Holanda began to doubt his certainties. In a letter to his wife, he wrote, "There's something here that defies logic, and it haunts me." When journalists from O Cruzeiro magazine arrived to investigate, they were barred. "Restricted zone," declared soldiers, aiming rifles at the sky. But not all threats came from above. In January 1978, a technician vanished for 3 days, returning with burns on his hands and muttering about voices in the forest. Hollanda then ordered an end to night patrols. "This is bigger than we imagined," he confided to a subordinate days before Operation Saucer was abruptly terminated. The final report sent to Brasilia contained a single ambiguous line: "Aerial phenomena confirmed. Appropriate measures will be taken." Operation Saucer ended in January 1978 without explanation. Soldiers collected equipment, burned field notes, and left Colares as abruptly as they'd arrived. The final report, classified as Code BD66, remains cryptic to researchers. Over the years, document fragments leaked. Passages described objects with speeds exceeding 2,000 km/h and maneuvers defying inertia. A red highlighted paragraph warned, "Recommend terminating the subject to avoid public panic and disorder." Captain Hollanda's fate deepened the mystery. In 1997, he gave a surprise interview to ufologist João Martins, revealing shocking details. "We saw beings floating inside the lights. They weren't human." 2 months later, Hollanda was found dead in his Rio apartment, strangled with his robe's cord. Police ruled it suicide, but his family contested. He was optimistic, planning to write a book, said his daughter, Ana Hollanda. In 2004, a brown folder appeared anonymously in a Belém journalist's office. Inside were 12 blurred photos and a typed report. Object 0177 displayed unknown symbols resembling inverted hieroglyphs. The material was authenticated as FAB originals, but their source remains unclear. A breakthrough came in 2020 when the National Archives released 2,300 pages from Operation Saucer. Among technical diagrams and weather logs, a handwritten note stood out. 12/23/1977. Object pursued boat for 18 kilometers. Crew reported loss of engine control. Yet for every answer, new questions arose. Where are the original films? Why were witnesses' names redacted? And what happened to the technician who vanished in 1978, whose name was never revealed? In Colares, the files are met with distrust. "Paper doesn't heal burns," summarized an old fisherman, his scars still aching on rainy days. The Colares incident became a magnet for theories. Scientists, ufologists, and skeptics debate what truly happened in the Amazon. Theory 1. Extraterrestrial visitors. Ufologists note global parallels. The burn patterns and object behavior match UFO abduction cases in the U.S., says researcher Alessandro Chavez. FAB photos are compared to sightings in Virginia, 1996, and Roswell, 1947. Proponents argue the lights were alien probes collecting biological data. Theory 2. Secret military experiments. Historians suggest Cold War links. Declassified documents reveal the USSR tested microwave weapons in the 1970s, while the US studied radiation effects. The Amazon was the perfect isolated lab, says ex-soldier Carlos Mendes. Mentions of Project Alpha, a rumored Brazilian defense program, remain unconfirmed. Theory 3. Misunderstood natural phenomena. Physicists offer humbler explanations. Dr. Fernanda Costa, USP, argues atmospheric plasma discharges could cause burns and hallucinations. Studies suggest swamp gases ignited by lightning create fleeting lights, while the hum might be infrasound-inducing anxiety. Theory 4. Mass hysteria. Psychologists cite fear's power. When isolated communities face the unknown, minds fill gaps with myths, explains Dr. Roberto Silva. Dr. Wellade rebuts. Wounds aren't imaginary. Something physical happened here. In 2018, a leaked U.S. Navy video showing a UFO akin to Colares's reignited debate. This validates decades of accounts. Cheers, Chavez. Skeptics counter, modern videos don't prove past events. As theories clash, Colares became a pilgrimage site. Tourists scan the sky while elders avoid the topic. Some secrets are best kept, murmurs an old woman, closing her shutters at dusk. Nearly 50 years later, Colares bears its scars like silent witnesses. Wooden houses still show roof burns, and elders avoid gazing skyward after sunset. My grandson thinks it's a legend, says Jose Ribeiro, 68, holding a faded photo of his mother's arm scar. But those who lived it know, the fear never leaves. Tourism brought contradictions. Boatloads of visitors arrive daily with drones and infrared thermometers. I'll prove aliens exist, declares a YouTuber as elders sell UFO-shaped crafts. For some, it's survival. For others, sacrilege. They turned our pain into a show, laments Maria do Socorro, now 70, still haunted by the 1977 attack. The 2020 document release yielded more questions than answers. Researchers flocked to Colares, but many left frustrated. The files confirm something happened, but not what, says historian Renato Almeida. Even Holanda's granddaughter Clara dove into the archives. My grandfather died guarding secrets. I want answers, if only to give our family peace. Meanwhile, the jungle seems to mock human theories. Faint lights still dance on the horizon, now dismissed as drones or party balloons. Maybe the Amazon will never surrender its secrets, muses a tour guide adjusting his camera helmet. Today, Colares straddles tourism and trauma. Files are open, but mysteries linger. As Dona Marta, 92, says, some secrets the jungle keeps forever. Subscribe for more stories that defy reason. The truth is out there. Turn on notifications. The next mystery is brewing.